So today was an interesting day for me. It started off very peculiar to begin with. A friend of mine messaged me, and he wanted to share with me that he recently used a quote that I had given him that I just made up on the spot because you know we used to just talk and talk about any and everything, but we used to just come up with like titles for a sermon. And anyway, so this specific quote that I gave him was um, he did what he needed to do because he knew what needed to be done. I'll say that again. He did what he needed to do because he knew what needed to be done. And I never really thought about that quote that I had given him until today when I was in a counseling session and I came to the realization that I too knew what needed to be done, um, particularly in my life. And, it's not easy facing the things that you need to change in your life, and it's even harder to change them. Sometimes people, and let me speak for myself, sometimes I get so comfortable in positions where I shouldn't be that I don't move from that position until I'm literally forced to move. Um, you may or may not know I was recently, well, in January, had an accident. I broke my ankle. It was a fracture and dislocation. Um, I couldn't walk for 3 months. I really just started walking about 3 weeks ago. So, in the month of April, I was putting weight on my ankle and actually walking. And I made a point in my therapy session to say that in my life, I have to relearn how to walk again, like mentally and physically. Literally, have to learn how to walk again. But mentally, in my relationships that I've established, I have to start over with a lot of them because I have not set up the appropriate boundaries for them or myself. We have spoken a lot, well, not a lot, but we've spoken a bit about boundaries and the boundaries that we have for other people. But tonight I wanted to speak about the boundaries that we need to have for ourselves. Um, and that takes me back to the quote that I gave. He did what needed to be done because he knew what he had to do. He knew what needed to be done or whatever. But I'm goofy. But I realized this week that this whole time of me being laid up in a bed for what 5 days out of the week, I don't leave this room very often. Well, I don't leave this room for 5 days out of the week. And so, what I didn't realize that this was my solitude, right? This was a time for me to be in a place where I'm disconnected from a lot of things, well, from my life, from the life that I knew. And in this solitude, I learned so much about the people around me. I learned who has real love for me and who doesn't. I learned the people that care for me and the ones that don't. I used to help a neighbor of mine very often. And when I needed her help, she disappeared. Poof, Caspered on me. And that hurt. And it hurt a bit, but I started thinking about all my relationships where people have just Caspered on me after I've given them so much of myself. And it bothered me. It bothered me because not that I had given so much to people who obviously didn't deserve it. What bothered me was how many people I was giving that to. I overextend myself for people. And it's not that I have to have a deep, profound love for you. The way my heart is set up, the way I'm built, I care. I have very strong empathy, and it hurts. It hurts to have this much empathy for people because I can see where they're coming from, and I don't like to witness human suffering. So I try to do whatever my part is, whatever I feel my part is, to help somebody else because that's what I would want somebody to do for me. The thing is, I'm in a low place. I was in a low place. And I saw who came to my rescue, not my rescue, but came to my aid. I saw who checked on Dominique and who didn't. I remember the people who used to be in my face every single week. I think I might have heard from some of these people twice in almost 5 months. And that right there, and I'm going to say this because I feel like in my heart, and this is why I asked my sisters if I could come on here and just speak some words of encouragement because I feel like somebody needs to hear this. We can go around all day setting boundaries for other people, but we need to first set boundaries for ourselves. I hope somebody heard me on that. We need to set boundaries for ourselves. I hadn't had any boundaries for myself. And that goes to how I feel about myself, how I perceive myself. But when I need, everyone has their personal boundaries set up to what they can and cannot give to Dominique. But of course, when I'm giving to people, no one's ever saying, hey, no, 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 Dom, like, you're overextending yourself, dial it back. We don't need that. No, no, no. They accept it open arm, gleefully. But they don't give to me the same way I give to other people. And I'm not saying that my heart is a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's not, right for you to give to some people because some people, yeah, it is right. But I realize I can't give to everybody anymore. I realize I'm gonna start having to tell a lot of people no. I realize I'm gonna have to walk away from a lot of things that I put myself in. And I'm willing to do that. Because there has been one consistent theme throughout my entire journey with this ankle fracture is that from every step of the way, from me being on that person's grass for 30 plus minutes waiting for my sister to come get me because they refused to call 911 for me. From that place to every place I've been, the one thing that is consistent is that Dominique has advocated for herself. And I had to think about this. And I said to myself, Dominique, how long have you been advocating for you? And the truth of the matter is, I've been advocating for me. The first time I ever had to advocate for myself was my hardest time, the hardest time in my life. You know, this is April, so essay awareness. And we need to talk about these things anyways. But I'm a survivor, and I was not believed. When I told what happened to me, that was the first time I advocated for myself. And even though I was not believed, I kept advocating for me. I kept advocating for other people. And that has everything to do with that has everything to do with what was placed in me and who I am as a person. I understand now that at the end of the day, yes, I must always advocate for myself. And that's not just in being in somebody's hospital where the nurse is mistreating me. That's not being in physical therapy where I don't feel confident, but my physical therapist is still trying to push me and they're not listening. No, that's advocating in relationships, it's advocating in interactions. I'm going to advocate for myself whenever I feel that I need to advocate for Dominique. I'm going to set boundaries for myself whenever I feel like I need to set boundaries for Dominique. Because I realized nobody else will advocate for me. No one. Well, unless I pay him. I got a lawyer. But it's the only person, that's going to advocate for Dominique. But she do it for a fee. I want y'all to be encouraged and realize that you can set boundaries with other people. You can say yes or no for yourself. It don't have to be no reason. You can say, you know what? I'm tapped out. Even though I might have said, hey, yeah, I'll attend your event 3 weeks prior. If I'm tapped out, I'm setting that boundary for myself and I'm saying, Dominique, you're tapped out, you're not going. You're not overextending yourself for people anymore. You're not pushing yourself to the edge anymore. So, if you are feeling overextended, if you're feeling pushed to the edge, if you feel like you've been your biggest advocate and no one else has advocated for you, I want you to know that I understand and I empathize with you. And we are stronger than we really know. I told someone today, right, when they said, what if I've gone to this resource and I've reached out to this person and I've exhausted everything outside of myself? What do I do then? Who helps me then? And you know what I told that person? You got to help yourself at that point. It's up to you to stand up. It's up to you to get up. It's up to you to know what needs to be done and to do it. if life is truly short, why are we living it so timidly? Why aren't we taking the chances? Why aren't we making this little time that we have on this earth the best for us that it could possibly be? That's something I had to realize because I'm not going back to the life that I had before this accident because I'm not the same person I was before it. I've changed a lot. I'll be the first to admit I'm way more angry than I was before. But it's not the anger that I'm used to. It's a controlled anger. I am specifically angry at specific people, places, and things. Okay? But I want everybody who watches this live, I want you to understand that you have the right to choose you. You have the right to choose you. If anybody told you different, they ain't telling it right. You have the right to choose you. Now, I will say this also. When you choose you, you have the right to also choose everything that comes with choosing you. Because when you choose you, you're not always going to keep the same people that were around you. That's something we also need to realize. But that's all I really wanted to say. I didn't want to stay on here too long. Just wanted to give a short, encouraging message to everyone on the Infinite Sisterhood podcast. Be sure to stream, tune in with us as we're streaming from Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube. We're going to go live on YouTube more often. And we're going to really get into all of these topics that we have coming up for you all. We're expounding on the boundaries episodes, but we have so much more in store that we really want to share with everyone. And I'm grateful to all of the people who watch us, who share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube at the Infinite Sisterhood. Um, and until a Friday far from now, peace. The Emperor signing off.